Ladies and gentlemen, head coach Troy G. Ward.
Troy, interesting game, a little bit of a slow start as is somewhat traditional coming off the road for you guys, and they have a big edge in shots, but you guys are very efficient offensively this evening and come up with the win. And just your general thoughts on the performance.
Should just be me. Thought I was back in Wisconsin. I was driving down I-94, and when you drive in Wisconsin on I-94, there you see a lot of deer on the side of the road at this time of night. I looked like I was back home tonight. There's a lot of deer in the headlights. We kind of just watched the game kind of pass us by. So that's what I thought of the game, to be honest with you.
You guys score on a third of your shots tonight, and all of them from the same line. I mean, what were your thoughts on those three, Berchi, Knight, Miller?
Well, that line had obviously had an opportunistic night. They did a good job in terms of finishing. In general, whether you talk about that line, but in general, we were on our heels the whole night. We've talked about this before. It's my fourth year here. I'm coming off a 15-day trip. I was just telling a good friend of mine in the office that coaches in Everett down the highway, I remember my first year here, we lost 4 games, 5-0 on a Friday night after a long trip. And we were just, we worked really hard. We tried physically. We just couldn't get anything going. It was just one of those nights. And we were just fortunate enough to get some goals at the right time. But, give Rockford a lot of credit. We just seemed to, be fortunate to get some goals.
I just wanted to ask you about Berchi in particular. He had the huge offensive night for you guys. Do you kind of feel like this game was a bit of a microcosm of how he's been playing lately?
Yeah, I think Sven is... the one thing you can't take away from the game is whether it's Sven or Corbin Knight, or we just talked about it in there, we thought Miller was our best player. Can't take anything away from those guys with that particular game. And Sven has found his mark here of late, and it's gotten better. He's gotten some rest, and he got himself he got a couple weeks back, he got healthy again. So that's been a huge thing for Sven. But by putting him with Corbin, it's been a little bit better. Not so much that I thought Corey Locke didn't do a good job. I just think Corbin is a right-handed centerman, so he's naturally going to get Sven the puck on the left side a lot easier than Corey was, because Corey's passing the other way most of the time, so he's going the other way. So we made that switch, and that's been a good switch. I think those two have a little chemistry. And we have some injuries. We thought different players were going to actually play in this game, and they didn't even dress. So it was kind of some last-second shoveling, and we put Miller up on that particular line and just went with a veteran AHL guy, and I thought he had his best game by far for the Heat. But he helped because he just opens up space, He just opens up space for those other guys. He played honest, he played hard, and then that gives Corbin and Sven some space.
A few months ago when you got him down from Calgary, would you have ever thought that Shane O'Brien would have a 3-game point streak right now?
Well, he's certainly capable, but when you're a player that's played in the NHL for a really long time, and this is your first time in the minors since '06, and it's 8 years ago. You go through a huge mental shift. It's really an adjustment. You first get here, you just think about it. We don't realize it, but he's living in a hotel for almost a month before he's been cleared to get a place to live here. Doesn't know if he's coming or going. He's eating out of basically hotel food, or he's eating out of the White Spot, at the Ramada Plaza. And it just takes a while to settle in down here. So I thought once, because of his skill level, once he got settled in, if Calgary in fact left him here, we could get a lot out of him, because he's a good man. And so he's a good man. He's a big part of our team right now, and he's been a big asset for our kids. So I'm not really surprised by it, but he had everything had to settle in before this was going to happen, and it has.
Talking about guys that you thought would dress tonight, Morgan Klimchuk, what's his status?
Well, we thought Morgan might play. We're real close with Blair Jones. We're real close with both of those guys. We really felt that Morgan would play in this game, but he tweaked his knee the other day in practice and just isn't 100%. And considering his status within our organization and where he's at and his development, we're just going to be patient. So I don't anticipate him to play tomorrow either. I think we'll wait and we'll be, get him better in the next week and then look at him. It was disappointing because he was really, a guy that was really enthusiastic, wanted to play. Skated all week with Corey Locke and Brett Olson on the line, and they had a good week, and they did a lot of communicating. And it just, he went out there this morning, and it just didn't feel right yet, so we're just being patient with him.
Colin Valcourt then gets to make his AHL debut on the fourth line. I mean, what were your impressions of him?
Well, I thought our fourth line was probably our second best line, to be honest with you. I think that, we have to look at it. We always are tape people, but that hit that Colin took to the head was vicious. That's more than a 2-minute penalty. But I've got to look at it and see, and then we'll go from there. But, not many guys, as we just talked about in the room back there, are going to walk away from that hit to that head. Like, that was a vicious hit. But you got to give that kid credit. He drew a couple of penalties tonight. He stuck his nose in there. He's obviously a big body, so he makes us a little thicker on the walls, which is important at this time of year. So I thought he did a nice job, and then what can you say about Hathaway? He came right to his defense, and obviously Hathaway knew that he was going against a veteran guy that has played in the NHL and has been around and is obviously a tough customer, and Hathaway didn't back down one iota, even when he was oozing some blood all over the ice. He just kept throwing them, so you got to give him credit for a kid out of Brown. It's not exactly what you think out of a kid out of Brown, but obviously he's pretty hard-nosed, and I thought that was one of the little subtle turning points in the game, because if that just blow to the head goes away and nothing ever happens about it, we don't address it on the ice, especially in only a 2-minute penalty. Like, if it's a 5-minute penalty, we can respond and maybe score some goals. But in a 2-minute penalty, I was pretty impressed with Hathaway for that. I thought that was outstanding. Like, I really did. It was unfortunate for Colin to get hit like that, but it was a good job by Hathaway.
One of Falcourt's former teammates, Jesse Astle, is signing with you guys today. Is there any chance he'll get in the lineup before the end of the year?
Yeah, we've got a lot of new bodies. We had 3 arrive today. We had a kid arrive from UMass Lowell, a goaltender, and Doug Carr. Jesse Astle arrived today, and then we had Coda Gordon came in late this afternoon. So we've got more guys coming. It's pretty much a revolving door right now. A lot of new bodies are in here, and we're actually sitting in their locker room, believe it or not. A lot of these guys, like this, we just don't have enough space for everybody with the number of bodies we got. But down the stretch here, we'd like to get all these guys in. I think that's what we're here for. We're a development team, and we got to play some bodies and see what they can do. And if the balance is to slide these guys in, not lose our footing, and not lose a stronghold on how we play our game and how we want to play our game. Obviously, tonight wasn't exactly how we want to play our game, but in sense, we got to keep getting these new bodies in.
Last question. Great. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.